to set up an AIF, how long does it take and how much does it cost? Right, an AIF is fairly straightforward. Right, it will take you, anywhere from 1 to 2 months to put together the prospectus, and once you have the prospectus with the various service providers, it's actually very quick. So if you want to have an approval in Ireland, it's 24-hour approval process by the CBI. If you want to have a Luxembourg fund, then it usually runs through the AIFM, which has to notify the home regulators, so the CSSF. So the actual time to market for AIFs is very quick, and it really boils down to how long it takes to write the prospectus and line up the service providers in terms of commercial agreements and contractual arrangements. Now, after you've determined your timeline, how much does it cost? So it's a bit of a how long is a piece of string, but to give you a general idea, an AIF will cost to set up in the region of 50 to 150,000 euros. Now bear in mind that those costs are chargeable to the fund and usually amortized over 5 years. Now for the illiquid, it can be a bit more complicated, and it will depend also on the downstream structures. So I'm only talking about the fund itself, right? If you do as plain simple hedge funds, you will find that it's much more straightforward, probably between 40 and 60,000, all in. Now, once you've set up the structure, what happens is there's a lot of running costs. So you have a fund administrator, you have an auditor, you most likely will have a third-party AIFM, you have directors, money laundering reporting officer, corporate secretarial services, so a number of services provided to the fund, and that also has a cost. So the running cost of such a structure will be in the region of 200,000 euros. So what matters is how much AUM you will have in the fund, and what expenses the funds will be able to bear, and that will depend clearly on its size. So an AIF for a size of less than 100 million is actually a bit of a stretch. Some people will launch it between 30 and 50 million, but actually ramp up the AUM quite quickly. When you look at the illiquids, you'll find that very often they're 100 million upwards. And because of all these costs, whether it's the setup fees, which are charged to the fund amortized over 5 years, or the running costs, it's all basically being charged to the fund. It is the cost of it, and the feasibility of the fund is really depends on the size of the fund and what total expense ratios the investors can bear.